Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. Not tonight and not next week, because next week is our Shabbat Purim service, but in 2 weeks' time, and for every Friday night after that till ad nauseum, I'm going to ask that Raul begins a little nigun, a little soft Jewish melody on the piano, about a minute or so before service begins. So when you hear that music, Batya Boxed, among others, that will be your notification to take your seats, that we're going to get ready in services, because it can be somewhat jarring to go from talk to, okay, time to turn on the switch. So in a lot of conservative and Orthodox synagogues, the cantor or the chazan will begin with singing something, chanting something to get people in the mood for Shabbat. And I think that's a good thing, a good practice for us to start. And Raul agrees, so therefore we'll do it. Otherwise, if he doesn't agree, then we'll figure something out. But he agreed, so it's okay. So while we're in this moment of getting ready for Shabbat, I recognize that there are apparently lots of people who are allergic to rain. That's why our number's a little bit smaller tonight. But even so, this is pretty good for a small number. And when you have 30 or less as your small number, that's not bad, especially when your congregation numbers 114 or so families. So, between last Shabbat and this Shabbat, what types of things can we celebrate? I see your hand. I'll come back to you, I promise. What types of things can we celebrate together as a community? All right, I'll go with you first, Susan. Go ahead, Susan. You go first.
What? Oh, you pointed to me first?
Yes.
Oh, you always give me last. Our great-nephew turned 5 this week.
All right. Happy birthday to your great-nephew. What's his name? Nathaniel. Nano. Nano? Wonderful. Yes, Debbie. And it's the highlight of all of our days and weeks when you post your videos on Facebook and we can see Josie. She looks so beautiful. Yes, Rob? Yes, we should all be very thankful for this rain because we certainly needed it. Not that this is all of a sudden going to solve our drought, but it's nice to have it. Yes, Lauren? Yes.
But he wants to do, an internship at St. Jude's.
Oh, wow.
And we find out that in order to get that internship, everybody had to apply at his current school, and one person had to be chosen to apply.
Okay.
And he won the application.
Excellent.
That doesn't mean he's going yet.
But he's been chosen to apply.
He's the chosen one.
He is the chosen one, and may he continue to be the chosen one again. Mazel tov. Excellent, excellent. Yes, Danica. But you're still in the spelling bee. Okay. Yes, because I know I had to get up at the you-know-what crack of dawn on Wednesday to go to see the... That's still pretty early for me, but I'll be there to support you and your brother. Anybody else? Okay. So, oh, sorry. How do you know that I didn't say it last week? I didn't. Yes, Akiva. Finish chewing what's in your mouth first, please. We don't have all day. We do have a service to get to. I wouldn't do this for anybody. You know that, right? Can I come back to you in like an hour? It's my boy. I don't know how many of you pay attention to the news. I know that some people refuse to watch the news because it's incredibly depressing all the time. However, we are at a precipice in Israel right now. There are Israelis themselves are preparing for war with Iran. Yes. And so one of my colleagues who I've read from him before, Rabbi Paul Kipnis in California, he wrote this today, as the world holds its breath. Holy One of blessing, as Shabbat stretches her soft shawl across a trembling world, we feel the fragile flutter of the horizon. We do not know what will be. We only know this moment, this breath, this sacred pause. Shelter those who stand in harm's way in Israel, in America, in Iran, and especially the innocent civilians, families, and children who did not choose this conflict. Spread over them your shelter of peace, your Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of dignity and protection. If conflict comes, whether preventative or prolonged, guide our leaders with wisdom and compassion. Shield those sent into danger. Protect those who fight for the safety and freedom of their people, and return them home whole in body and spirit. Spare those whose only wish is to live and love in safety. On this Shabbat, slow our spiraling thoughts, still our racing hearts. Let candlelight outshine the sparks of fear. Plant within us the promise of shalom, peace that is not passive, but brave enough to preserve life. Amen. And now, I completely forgot who's lighting candles tonight. Ruth Stern is lighting candles tonight. Yes. Okay, because Fine Ashkenaz is not going to be here. So I'd like to now invite Ruth Stern up to light her Shabbat candles, which you can find either on the screen or on page 2.
I'll read this first. As these Shabbat candles, page 3, as these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehatlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Amen.
Thank you, Ruth. I'll take that. Shabbat Shalom. You're welcome. We continue with our prayer for Kiddush, which is on page 5 or on the screen. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila, limikrai kodesh, Zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu vacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim. V'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Share with your brother. Please be seated. We continue on page 6. May the door of our synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of our synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May our synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We continue with the singing of Hine Matov on page 10.
Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, la 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 la. Hine Matov, la 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 la. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Page 19. The voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire. The voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness. Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips forests bare. While in God's temple all say glory. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign power. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being. We continue singing Shalom Aleichem, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ochem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 la. La 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 la. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 la.
Please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah B'alma divrach urute v'yamlich malchute B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Kedusha Brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'alma v'meru amen. We continue on page 28 with Baruch Hu. Please be seated. We continue with Ma'ariv Aravim on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvidvuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et ha'kochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzivaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue with the singing of Ahavat Olam on page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Aken Adonai Eloheinu B'shach beinu uv'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. When we lie down, when we rise up, this joy will last forever. When we lie down, when we rise up, this joy will last forever, forever. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadita.
Please rise as we turn to page 34 for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. We continue with the chanting of Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al livavecha v'shinantam livanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu totafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Liman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 39, we read together on the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40, Michamocha.
Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba bim bim bam, ya ba bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya ba bim bam, ay 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 ay, ya ba bim bam, mi chamocha ba'elim
We continue on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. And we continue singing Yismechu, page 44.
Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei shabbat. Yismechu v'malchuka shomerei shabbat. V'korei oneg, v'korei oneg. Yismechu v'malchutcha shomerei shabbat. Mekadeshei, mekadeshei shvi'i. Kulam yismechu v'yitangu mituvecha. Yismechu v'malchucha shomerei shabbat. Yismechu v'malchucha shomerei shabbat. V'korei oneg, v'korei oneg. Yismechu v'malchucha shomerei shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto. Chemdat yamim oto karata, zecher l'maseh bereshit. Yismechu v'malchucha shomerei shabbat. Yismechu v'malchucha shomerei shabbat. Shomerei shabbat.
Please rise for our Amidah, the Tefillah, on page 46. Adonai, sefaitai tiftach, ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Neihem, Lema'an Shmo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed. Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. So mech noflim verofei cholim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato. Lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al givurot. Umido melach. Melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh. Please be seated. We continue on page 55. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied. Dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai, deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue with the singing of Ritzei on page 56.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehilei ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Karov Penei Avadecha V'cheneinu Shevoch Ruchacha Aleinu V'techezena Eneinu Beshuvecha Letzion. Berachamim Baruch atah Adonai HaMachazir Shechinato Letzion,
We continue with Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim.
This is one of my colleagues, Rabbi Danny Friedlander. He wrote this.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
With the guy playing guitar sitting right next to him, Joel. Jeff Klepper, not Joel, excuse me. Jeff and Danny wrote this together.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov B'necha Levarech Et Amcha Yisrael B'chol Et U'b'chol Sha'ah Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam 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 Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam
Baruch atah Adonai, Hamavarech et Amo Yisrael, Bashalom. Oseh shalom b'mrama, v'uya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth, as we say together. Amen. We will now continue with the singing of Elohai Netzor, which is on page 62, and then we'll follow that with some brief moments of silent meditation.
Elohai Netzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Medaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidum Vinafshi Afar Lakol Tehia Elohai Elohai Netzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Medaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidum Vinafshi Afar Lakol Tehia Elohai Betach libi Betach libi Betoratecha Elohai Netzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Medaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidum Vinafshi Afar Lakol Tehia Elohai Netzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Medaber Mirma Vilim kalalai nafshi tidam, v'nafshi ka'afar l'kol tihye Elohai, Elohai. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi, v'hikyon libi lefanecha, Adonai, Adonai, Tzori, Begoali.
We come now in our service to the moment in which we think of all of those in our community, in our circles of community who are in need of healing, whether it be mind, body, or spirit. Of course, we have the names that are on the screen. If there is a name that you'd like to add into our prayers of healing this Shabbat, please raise your hand.
Eileen Tao, Starlisa Skinner, and Corey Marsh.
Page 253 or on the screen.
Mi shebeirach avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
This Shabbat is Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat directly before Purim. Zachor means remember. You may have heard someone say Zichronam Livracha after reciting the Kaddish. May their memory be for a blessing. We also celebrate Yom HaZikaron, the Israeli Remembrance Day, to remember those soldiers who died fighting Israel's wars. Of course, the use of the word that most people know and remember is Yizkor, the special service we have to remember those who we've lost. The normal Torah reading for this Shabbat is Parshat Tetzaveh, Exodus 27:20 through 28:43, in which we read about the eternal light, the Ner Tamid, and the sacred vestments for Aaron and the priests. But we add a special reading, the Maftir reading, the final reading, which is from Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 17 through 19, in which we remember the war with Amalek and the way the king of Amalek treated the Jews when they were exiting out of Egypt. But why do we read about the war with Amalek before Purim? What's the connection? According to tradition, another very nasty enemy of the Jews, who's sitting back there with his hand in his face, Haman, who is that's next week, guys, who is the villain in the book of Esther, which we read on Purim, he is referred to as an Agagite. The king of the Amalekites was called King Agag, thus the connection. When we think of Haman, we remember the battles against Amalek. The festival of Purim, when it is suggested to us that we drink until we cannot tell the difference between blessed be Mordecai and cursed be Haman, is based on the story of Purim, the book of Esther. The celebration of Purim is meant to remember a villain who tried to annihilate the Jews, Haman, and the Jewish people's ability to overcome and defeat this evil. Quote, "One thing I should like to say on this day, which may be memorable for others as well as for us Germans. In the course of my life, I have very often been a prophet and have usually been ridiculed for it. During the time of my struggle for power, it was in the first instance the Jewish race which only received my prophecies with laughter when I said that I would one day take over the leadership of the state, and with it that of the whole nation, and that then, among other things, I would settle the Jewish problem. Their laughter was uproarious, but I think that for some time now they've been laughing out of the other side of their face. Today I will once again be a prophet. If the international Jewish financiers in and outside Europe should again succeed in plunging the nations in a world war, the result will be not the Bolshevization of the globe and thus victory for Jewry, but the annihilation of the Jewish race in Europe." End quote. On January 30th, 1939, while addressing the Reichstag, the German parliament which he controlled, Adolf Hitler made the proclamation I just read. Hitler, in defending his actions against the Jews, expressed that he was only finishing off what other countries had tried to accomplish before him. He referred to diagrams and cartoons from hundreds of years before him, which portrayed Jews as money-hungry people trying to take over the world. All Hitler had to do was look back to the Spanish Inquisition, the Crusades, and the many, many exiles from various European countries the Jews faced while simply living their lives. On Purim, however, we celebrate our victories in our history. We celebrate the chances we have had to continue as a people, and we celebrate God as our continued support, even in times when we were not necessarily sure that God is there. Purim and the celebration of Purim reminds us that yes, God is there and God is here, and God continues to look out for us even in our darkest hour, the Holocaust, for example. But in truth, although we celebrate our victories, we still live each day with the knowledge that in every age we have lived, we have had an enemy or enemies. As I read the following, try to imagine who may have said this and in what age did they live. Quote, "They have no boundaries, limits, or taboos when it comes to killing human beings. Who are they? Where did they come from? Are they human beings? They are like cattle, nay, more misguided, a bunch of bloodthirsty barbarians. Next to them, all the criminals of the world seem righteous. They are a bunch of Zionists. Where have they come from? Any ideas? It's okay, I'll tell you. The proclamation I just read was stated by Iranian President Ahmadinejad on August 3rd, 2006, while speaking at a rally in support of Iran's right to have nuclear power 20 years ago, facing the same problem today. If you are beginning to think that each of these villains sound or may appear similar, you're correct. What may also seem interesting is that each villain or enemy of Israel has had the same complaint and the same goal. The complaint: the Israelite nation are a people who prey off of everyone else. They are dirty and less than human. And the goal? To completely annihilate the Israelite nation from the face of the earth. This is the very essence of the scroll of Esther. Haman, King Ahasuerus' right-hand man, wants to annihilate the Jewish people simply because they will not bow down to him. Why? Because the Jews only bow down to God, not before a human being. So what does that guy do? He convinces the king to allow him to kill all the Jews without realizing the new queen, Esther, is a Jew. Thankfully, like so many villains or enemies before and after him, Haman, there we go, is proven wrong and given the same treatment he intended for the Jews. King A hangs him on the gallows he intended for the Jews. The message is clear. As God's chosen people, we are here for a reason. We may not always agree what that reason is, but there is one. Even in today's world, when we feel threatened from every side, we must remember that we are here for a reason, and we should never give up A, our trust and love for God, and B, our hope for the future. I'd like to share with you one more quote. This was stated by Vladimir Putin while trying to justify the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Quote, "I also need to address the military personnel of the Ukrainian armed forces. Dear comrades, your fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers did not fight the Nazis and defend our common motherland so that today's neo-Nazis can seize power in Ukraine. You took an oath of allegiance to the Ukrainian people and not to the anti-national junta that plunders Ukraine and abuses its people. Don't follow its criminal orders. I urge you to lay down your weapons immediately and go home. I want to make clear that all servicemen of the Ukrainian army who do so will be able to freely leave the combat zone and return to their families. Once again, I emphasize all responsibility for possible bloodshed will lay on the conscience of the ruling regime in Ukraine." End quote. Even as we celebrate our past victories, such as in the time of Esther and Mordecai, we are reminded of the very real and profoundly serious Hamans of today. The president of Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky, is a Jewish man, and yet he is being called a Nazi. He is the child of Holocaust. He is a Holocaust survivor, child of a Holocaust survivor. In today's world, we have a country invading another, while the president of the invading country, refers to the other Jewish president as a neo-Nazi. Friends, let us celebrate this week, and let us remain vigilant in our support of everyone and anyone in the world who faces their own Haman. Come on. It's the last one. Come on. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. I had Botch over here doing the boo from Princess Bride. You had love. We continue in our Siddur on page 282. Please rise for Aleinu. Come on up, Danik and Akiva. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu ki goye haratzot, velo samanu ki mishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegoralenu kechol hamonam, Vanachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Please be seated. Of course, we continue to remember those who died, the hostages, and those who died fighting for Israel as a result of the October 7th invasion. This Shabbat, we remember the yahrzeits, the death anniversaries of Harry Feinberg, Florence Lang, Fred Shore, father of Dale Berman, Saul O'Mell, uncle of Wayne O'Mell, Sylvia Rosendorf, friend of Wayne and Raylyn O'Mell, Pearl Bosch, sister of Rita Hoffman, Florence Semraldi, sister of David Santman, and Belting Jennings. And we are in Shloshim for Talia Aharoni, cousin of Rachel Etheridge. If there's a name you'd like to add for our prayers of memory this Shabbat, please raise your hand. We rise together as a community. Turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, bi'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brechu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. O say shalom b'mromav, Uya say shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing as we say together, amen. Please be seated. And now I invite our President Rachel for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Next week, Kabbalah Shabbat is at 6:30 p.m. and it is our Purim service. My outside voice. Okay. Friday, March 13th, Kabbalat Shabbat is at 7 p.m. There will not be an oneg. Along with March 14th, a Shabbat morning service, 10:30 a.m., no kiddush.
And why is that, Rachel?
Because of the art auction, we're going to have pieces in here, and we don't want them to get ruined. Sunday at 2 p.m. is the memorial service for Linda Donaldson. Purim Carnival is Sunday, March 8th from 12 to 2. Passover second night Seder is Thursday, April 2nd at 6 p.m. The cost is $55 per person. Please get your reservation in soon if you plan on coming. Tidal Wave Car Wash. Where's Debbie? She left. She just left. Okay. The Tidal Wave Car Wash is you buy a $10 coupon. It's good for a $30 car wash, and it is good for a year. You could use it at any Tidal car wash in Ocala. Mahjong cards, please contact Hillary. And the TBS cookbook, if you have recipes that you want to submit, please get them in ASAP. Olto's fundraising is the art auction, Saturday, March 14th. 5 p.m. is appetizers and refreshments. 6 p.m. is the bidding begins. Tickets are $25 per person. And Marcel is here today if you have any other questions about it. Interfaith dinners. A sign-up sheet can be found in the lobby if you are interested in helping. Jay is looking for folks for May. There's also an urgent need. FCUCC will be stepping in for TBS on April 1st, which falls on the first night of Pesach. So TBS will be stepping in for FCUCC on March 24th. We are in need of people to provide food and help serve if you can. Please see Jay if you are able to help. This week's ONEG is sponsored by the congregation, and this week's Bima Flowers are sponsored by Di and Harley Michelson in honor of their 45th anniversary, Fran Schreiber in honor of Marvin's birthday, and Alvin Topiel in honor of Toby's birthday. Do you want to talk about what you sent out today? About signing the petition?
Sure. So a couple of announcements that I want to add to. Number one, I want to remind everyone, Rachel already said this, but we'll remind you next Friday as well. The Purim Carnival that's from 12 to 2 on Sunday, March 8th, so not this coming Sunday, but the next one. It's really, really important that you come, please, and support the religious school. Daryl and one other person will be cooking hot dogs and hamburgers or something. We haven't decided exactly what we're doing yet, food-wise, but there will be a barbecue, and there will be, of course, a charge, a minimum charge. We hope you will come and buy tickets, and we still are working all the kinks out. We are not doing a dunk tank this year because we are in a drought, and I have no problem with that because I don't like the dunk tank anyway. So we're also coming up with other options for that. But it's a great opportunity for the younger members of our community to be a part of with the older members of the community. So please come out for that. Even if you just come to hang out and not buy anything, that's fine. Just come support them and they can see you. The second thing is I sent an email out today. In 2018, when Benjamin Netanyahu was still in office, I feel like he's been in office for like 50 years, there was a law passed to create a egalitarian prayer space to basically, if you're facing the kotel, to the right of the kotel, on the other side of the walkway that goes up to the Temple Mount, and that was for conservative reform, non-Orthodox people, Orthodox people too if they wanted to, but it was intentionally to be for all people. That was a law that was passed by Benjamin Netanyahu's government and then never acted upon. The Supreme Court got involved, and the Supreme Court said you have to do something, so they did a little bit of stuff, and then they stopped. Well, now there is a bill that was preliminarily passed, which means it hasn't gone completely through the Knesset yet, but it's making its way, and it basically gives the entire ownership of the kotel to the Orthodox rabbinate, which means that the Orthodox rabbinate gets to decide what is considered sacred, what is considered the right way to prayer. So no women doing services, no women reading from the Torah, no egalitarianism, men and women together. And because of the way the law is written, if you are caught breaking the law, it's 7 years in prison. So please look at the email I sent today. There is a link to Merkaz organization, which is a conservative-based organization. It's not Orthodox, it's conservative. The Merkaz organization is a conservative organization, but the Reform movement is coupling with it, so there's not two different petitions going. The Reform movement is asking people to write a letter to their government, to the different embassies in the different Israeli, not embassies, the different Israeli consulates. Thank you. So sign the Merkaz petition. Write a letter to the consulate. We need as much support because, to be honest with you, the very high percentage of Jews in the world are not Orthodox, and not just in America, but in the world. And this law would basically outlaw conservative and non-Orthodox Judaism at the kotel. So please look at the email. If you deleted it because it came from the temple, send me an email, I'll send it back to you, or go online and find the place to do it yourself. It's very important that we stand together on this. Okay. Enough about that. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. It's a hamantashen challah. Ooh, that's yummy. Continuing in the tradition that I've started a few weeks ago of playing Israeli music, songs that are important in Israel since October 7th. You should have received a piece of paper when you walked in that was on the table over there. So you have the translation. This song is called Lo Levad, which means not alone, by a band called Jane Bordeaux. And I hope that you enjoy it.
העץ שבגינה שלנו לא שרד, נשרף כולו בבוקר מקולל אחד. והגינה עומדת יתומה,
With the challah?
ולא נותר מי שישקה בה את האדמה, ומי ישיר בטקס בקיבוץ, ומי ירקוד במעגל על הבמה בחוץ, מי יקשט טרקטורים ועגלות, ומי יקצור את החיטה שבשדות. נושיט כולנו יד, אנחנו לא לבד, שותפי גורל, כאב ואהבה כעם אחד. נבכה ונתגבר, כמו אז לא נשבר, יש לנו רק אחד, את השני ולא יותר, ולא צריך יותר. שורשי העץ נאחזים בלב האדמה, ושובו לעלות לצמוח עם המנגינה, ניגון עתיק של נחמה וצחוק הילדים. אנחנו בית לעצמנו, סוף לנדודים, נושיט כולנו יד, אנחנו לא לבד, שותפי גורל כאב ואהבה כעם אחד, נבכה ונתגבר, כמו אז לא נשבר, יש לנו רק אחד את השני ולא יותר, ולא צריך יותר. זכור את הפרחים, כל מי שנקטפו, יפה תואר מלאכים בדגל נטפו, ומי שעוד לא שב נהיה לו מגדלור, נדליק פה אור גדול עד שאלינו יחזור, נושיט כולנו יד, אנחנו לא לבד, שותפי גורל כאב ואהבה כעם אחד, נבכה ונתגבר, כמו אז לא נשבר, יש לנו רק אחד את השני ולא יותר, ולא צריך יותר.
Shabbat Shalom. See you in the Oneg.